Okay, let's get into this one right here. The real GOAT debate. The real GOAT debate. Yes, I'm back, guys. Yes, I'm back. But I'm not going to keep making videos every day. The only reason why I came back is because I want to do the real GOAT debate. And when I say the real GOAT debate, I'm talking about all the GOAT contenders that could be a GOAT, right? We could talk about Oscar Robertson. We could talk about Magic Johnson. We could talk about Will, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, Duncan, Dr. J, maybe Jerry West. You know, these guys like this who can have a real GOAT case. It can be more too. I'm probably forgetting some guys, but I don't want to do it because I know my research. I mean, I could do it, but I'm not, you know, a deep research guy. I used to be, right? Because when I first got into this Jordan versus LeBron thing on these social media Facebook groups, I really had to dig deep and challenge these guys, right? Because their debate is like simple stuff. 1-9 without Pippen, no Pip, no chip. Stuff like this. Could it beat Bird and Magic? They really don't come with like no real numbers. So I never was a guy who didn't like LeBron James. I just knew he wasn't like the greatest player of all time. Or to me, not even close. But for me to have to go into that debate and embarrass these guys, I had to dig deep and really go into a lot of stuff that I really never even knew about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or a lot of these other guys like that. So what I'm trying to say is the real GOAT debate, I think somebody should come out with a video. And I know we don't put up all, you know, just about everybody has, right? Or anybody that was, you know, good at doing this, right? Or over time, we've did this, right? We've dug through Michael Jordan's numbers and we dug through LeBron James' numbers, which career numbers, moments, and at the end of the day, that really hurt LeBron James and it really enhanced Michael Jordan's career. And it hurt LeBron James' career to where people don't even put him top 5 now. You know what I'm saying? So LeBron James kind of hurt himself in making people dig through these numbers, right? He could have just been where he was because the culture is so young as the years go by. So certain guys is all they remember. So if he would not have got his flunkies to run their mouths, he might have been okay. You know, a lot of people would not have dug up his numbers. A lot of people would have just been like, you know, yeah, we say LeBron is second or first because it's such and such. Basically because they like him. But it wouldn't be like a lot of dissing. To me, it would just be like a popularity contest more than anything for LeBron James, right? If he would have just kept his mouth shut, you know, the unclutched sports media would not have came out. Everything would have been good for him. And actually, he lost fans because of this. That's what's so crazy about it. And so at the end of the day, I think I'm going to reach out to Jim. I think his channel is NBA Facts, Self and Research or something like that. I really like his channel. And it's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of, you know, a little storylines and stuff like that. But it's a lot of facts to it. And I think, you know, because I done seen him group a lot of guys up together and put their numbers up. Not for a GOAT debate, but as far as like this guy did this team did that. And, you know, so I think Jim might be the right guy. Maybe he might not do it. Maybe he don't know who I am. Maybe he you know, he won't even see me trying to make this well, trying to leave him a link. I'll try to put his name in my post when I post the video, the pinned comment or whatever, the title of the video. But somebody needs to come out and make a video, you know, because he puts a lot of numbers out there on the visual. Can't even say the word. Visual, right on the screen. He puts a lot of numbers out there so we can see and stuff like that. But that's what I would like to see. You know, I would like to put a lot of guys, because I done made memes and all kind of stuff where you put LeBron James together, you know, Kareem, who is it? Jordan, Kareem, Will, Russell, I think LeBron, Magic, Kobe, you know, these guys together. But I think other guys like deserve, you know, to be up there. And to me, just don't have to do with championships. Because when, you know, Jim, when he did he do this the other day? I seen one of his videos, and we all know this, that LeBron James played in the weakest East, right? He played in the weakest East from once he came in 2000s to 2010s. from the 2000s to the 2010s, he played in the weakest East, and he played, I think, in one of the weakest divisions, conferences of all time, period. In that whole time he was in the East. And, you know, most of us knew that. You know what I'm saying? We can look at the all NBAs. We can look at the guys, the Hall of Famers, or the top 75 guys, whatever. That was in the East at that time when he came in before he went to LA. But Jim, he was actually able to put out the numbers as far as the 50-win teams and the 60-win teams that was there compared to other eras. And then in the 2010s, especially in 2011, it got crazier as far as the 50-win teams, 60-win teams versus super teams. It was just like, what? So we know we can't make it about championships. And it don't have nothing to do with him getting mollywopped in the finals. It has to do with giving other guys respect, right? We don't say Michael Jordan is the GOAT because of championships. We don't say that. We don't say that. I mean, a lot of people, when I was able to put the research together, a lot of people too, after he won his first three-peat, and then you look at his accolades, and I mean, Michael Jordan, what did he have? I think he had, was it 3 MVPs or 2? I think it was 3 MVPs, three championships, which was a three-peat. I want to say he had 3 steals titles, and he had 7 scoring titles. You know, all the All NBAs, first teams. I think he had 1 second team. You know, I'm not. Let me see. That would be, I think, what would be 6 defensive first teams. 3 finals MVPs, and I think it was something crazy. I can't even remember. It was his scoring average in the playoffs was something. It was outrageous. I don't know what it was. It was like 36 points per game, and then the finals, it was something up there in that range. In his what was the regular season? I don't know. The regular season was wicked too. It was like 35 points. It was crazy. And you know, of course, his shooting percentage, field goal percentage was crazy too. You know, up to 93. He had less turnovers per game at that point. I made the image, and I'm just saying, I'm one of those guys. If you go back and check my earlier videos, I always was bringing stats, and always brought a lot of stuff that a lot of people didn't bring. Not that a lot of people brought stuff that I never brought neither. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes everybody unique. The people that I watch and the people that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to, what was it? It was something about the all his 40-point games, and his 50-point games, 60-point games. It was something nuts. It seemed like at that point, I don't know, it was about 5 years ago that he had, it was so many 40-point games and 50-point games during the regular season. It looked like more than what LeBron James had at the time on 30-point games. It was something crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can reach out to Jim, because you know, a lot of this stuff is getting boring. It's getting boring, guys. I mean, the NBA has made this league unwatchable. Its league is running off of an off-court soap opera, because these players today, they can't bring you no on-court greatness. They can't. And I'm not trying to talk about their game per se, even though they lack an overall game. I'm just talking about they don't have no personalities or nothing like that. It's boring. It's bland. You know, if the game is going to be like this, where it's like a 3-point contest and nobody cares to watch, at least give us some kind of drama. You know, like I was telling you about Halliburton the other day. I said, go into game 7 and promise a win. You know, the day after you won game 6, come in, you know, after that press conference, say, I guarantee you game 7, right? So whether he faked the injury, which I think he did, that's just me, whatever, or he didn't, let's just say he didn't fake the injury. It was real, you know what I'm saying? Teddy bears and hugs and stuff like that, because we live in a real world where everything is on the up and up, guys. Oh, did I laugh? My fault. Anyways, he had his injury, but let's just think about, he had the injury, but remember, after game 6, he promised a win. Now, it might sound stupid because he promised a win and he hurt himself, but now his team can rally behind him and be like, we got to do this for Holly. You know what I'm saying? We got to do this for Halliburton. We got to do this for our dude. He went out there, he promised to win. You know, he put the pressure on our shoulders. You know, a lot of guys gave him the smoke because, you know, that's what would have happened, right? If he would have guaranteed a win, all the media would have been putting his feet to the fire. All the media. How could he say that? You know, everybody want to make some money on social media, so it would have blew up big, right? And It's not like the NFL, right? Where some dude says, yeah, I promise a win against the team he ain't got no chance to beat, whatever like that. Or, just aspires the other team to do even better now. So you don't really want that from your team in the NFL. I mean, from a guy in the NFL on your team. You don't want that. But the NFL is different. The NFL doesn't have a character problem as far as selling this league based on a soap opera drama. The NFL has never had that problem. The NBA does. So, like, again, for Halliburton to say something like that, that would be, some drama we can talk about. But we go into Game 7, we're all tired. We're all like, why is this thing getting stretched to Game 7? As far as, it's good that it went to Game 7. Cool. But I'm just saying the days off in between wasn't really worth the duds. It was no fireworks in the last game because Halliburton did get hurt, and nobody thought, after that injury in the first quarter, nobody thought they had a chance to win. Right? Yes, they could, get scrappy or whatever like that. That's about it. But with Halliburton in the game, they had a chance. So that's just where I am with the NBA and why it's so boring now. And it's getting worse because social media is making it worse. Because we're basically saying the same thing in different words. We're saying the same things. And it's like, who can run back and tattletale first and say it different than some other guy said it on his channel? Everybody's saying the same thing. That some dumb star says something dumb. Right? Gilbert Arenas says something dumb. Everybody has to run back and let's see who can say it better. Let's see who can go at him the best. But what I'm trying to say is, they're saying the Gilbert Arenas, the LeBrons, all these guys are saying the same thing about the same people. Basically, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They might sprinkle somebody in once in a while different, but 98% of the time is Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They just said something about Kobe Bryant not too long ago before this Tracy McGrady thing happened. It was just dissing Kobe not too long ago. So the NBA is getting repetitive. There's nothing new here in the NBA. There's nothing, the NBA players aren't selling their own league. It's more intriguing. It's more drama. It's more storylines. It's more to talk about. Not talking about this present NBA. Well, let's just say it's more to talking about, the old NBA players than these NBA players. It shouldn't be like that, folks. It shouldn't be like that. And like I said, okay, we can have these conversations, but why is it that the NBA isn't producing? This era in the 2020s, nobody cares. And again, it's mostly because of these players in this era, they put you to sleep. And, I think this whole social media thing right here surrounding, passing past players, all this stuff is a smokescreen to keep your mind off of what's going on in the 2020s. And what's going on in the 2020s is like they did in baseball starting in the early 2000s. They start putting all the American players out. And they want to make this a full international league. Look at what they want to do next year. They want to go international versus American. Or United States of America. We shouldn't, I don't like to just say that. Just say American, because we know people who live in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, and Canada. Well, Canada? Is that a place? In Canada, these people are American. They live in the Americas, right? You just have the United States of America. You're a citizen of the United States. Right? Just like you're a citizen of Canada, but you live in Americas. So on and so on. Dominican Republic, Mexico, you're a citizen of Mexico. That's a whole different story. But that's the overall picture that I'm looking at. The same thing. It is, the other smoke screen they used in baseball to get your mind off what was going on and kicking out all the American players for cheap labor is they used a steroid scandal. That's what they used. They used a steroid scandal. So you won't look at what was going on. Them kicking out American players. Well, they stopped drafting American players. And before you know it, you look up in the 210s, 215, 2015, it ain't nothing but a whole bunch of Spanish players that nobody don't care about. Not that they're not good players, but there's no balance. They don't seem to be no better to me than the white players, and definitely not the black players. And they'll definitely never break the majority of the records that the black players hold. Nevertheless, like I told you guys before, I expect when LeBron James retired, the whole PD scandal will be a continuous smokescreen for them continuing to get rid of Americans out of basketball and keep bringing in these international players. And what's so funny to me is we were told that these international players were so fundamentally skilled, they were this, they were that. But now we was being told that in the early, 2020s. And now we look at it, we're like, so how are they traveling and carrying? They really don't have no, they don't hit the midi. All they do is shoot threes. There's no full game. It's just hot potato around the 3-point line. So we were basically lied to. Because when I watched the game back in the 80s and 90s, and much of the 2000s, they were athletic and they had fundamentals. Your athleticism was going to get beat with a bunch of guys with fundamentals, right? And I can tell you that most great athletic players, they had to be real fundamentally sound eventually, or they had to get their team on the same level of being fundamentally sound like them, the great athletic players. Because being athletic can only take you so far. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're athletic and fundamentally sound, it's over. It's over. And that's why I was watching from guys in the 80s, the 90s. They will crush the guys in the 2020s. Because these guys aren't even fundamentally sound. They travel and carry and flop and do all this crazy stuff. Even the international players. So let's see what Jim says. Dominique Wilkins. I know he didn't win no championship. But, I would like to look at Dr. J, him able to bring his championships from the ABA into the NBA. Because you can't really count that against them, because so many great players came from the NBA, from the ABA. Guys that would roll NBA players back in those days. So I want to see if we can do that. And I'm just not talking about, put up, accolades. Oh man, this dude, he has this many championships, this many finals MVPs, this. I would like to do the whole thing, right? I want to see if Jim will do of course you put up the accolades, you put up scoring averages, rebound averages, assist, like their statistical averages in their primes. And let's see how they did out their prime and stuff like that. And, certain situations where they were, great. Whether they just came into the league, they won championships, or, just different situations that made them great. Put their, greatest moments up there as far as what they did in their greatest moments. Great moments. And you can also put up there what was their biggest failing moments, right? Their biggest failing moments. And, to me, I would like to go no higher than maybe 15 years. 15 years. And that's not just because of Michael Jordan, because that's realistic, man. Don't tell, man, you trying to single out LeBron James, man, he been playing blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's give LeBron James 17 years. We'll give LeBron James 17 years because he did come in early. And it really irks me because he came in a weak era, right? So it was no excuse for him missing the playoffs, and it was no excuse for him not making the All-Star team the first year, and things like that. He came in a weaker East. I'm trying to tell you, when Michael Jordan retired in 2003, that was not the same East the next year when he started playing. It just wasn't. And yeah, I didn't expect the guy to go do this, go do that, and win a championship. But I'm just saying, the second year, you had an all-star teammate. It didn't even make the finals. So, and then we look at, LeBron James, as far as his first 4 years, he was up and down. I think the first year he didn't make all NBA, and it was all NBA thirds, and he couldn't even make third. And then I think the second year was crazy. He made second or third, and then he makes first the next season, and then he's back down to second. So these are the type of things that I will put against him as any other player. Because I wouldn't expect, maybe he did. I wouldn't expect, like, once a great player got on first team that they would go back down to second, in their first, time on all NBA, like an all-time great. Say, like, I don't know, Kareem, maybe I would have to look. Say if he got on all NBA first team in his second year, I would expect him to be on all NBA first team the next season. And why would I expect that? Because he's winning all these MVPs in the damn 70s, right? I wouldn't expect LeBron James to be off of all NBA because of Paul Pierce, if LeBron James is that great. So, I mean, these are some of the things you got to take into account, and I'm not trying to say LeBron James is just the only one that has failures and stuff like that. You can look at, a lot of these guys. It's just not him. All the guys that I mentioned, maybe Kobe shot him out of the game against Detroit in the finals. Maybe we can look at Shaq, and he has some all-time great moments in the finals. But then we can look at, him not being able to do certain things when he was younger, get swept by the plumbing crew, Utah Jazz, all this crazy stuff. Like, so I think, the majority of the guys I mentioned that should be in a GOAT debate, they have more greater moments than bad moments. But at the same time, I think, everybody should be put up on the scale and weighed by now. It should, yes, I think LeBron James should have had his, little run for a GOAT debate. Whether he did it or wrong, that was his time. 2018, and then that was it. It don't matter if he won another championship. You were 3 and 6 going into your 4th championship. So, I mean, that's in 2018, that it should have been over then. There's nobody else to talk about. It's just, from there, it's parody. It's parody until somebody else jumps in the GOAT debate. Maybe it was, Curry. Maybe they should have started talking about Curry now. Or, it's just parody now until somebody else jumps in that rank. Maybe Joker should be in there. You put Joker in the GOAT debate. Yes, he only has 1 championship, but it's not about championship, guys. It's talking about overall pedigree. It ain't just about championships and finals MVPs. It's about a body of work. You could say, all the triple doubles he has, all this, there's a lot of stuff that could put him in the GOAT debate. And I know it's crazy, but every guy should have an opportunity to put out certain numbers, certain situations, everything in their career. Maybe, this guy beat the most 60-win teams. Maybe this guy beat the most 50-win teams. Maybe this guy had the most triple doubles in the playoffs. You can use a lot of that stuff for their case. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that what I'm trying to say at the end of the day, we're not learning these guys' real careers by just saying, oh yeah, man, six championships, 6 MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, and some, statistical accolades. No, it's more, and this is why we're stuck with this GOAT debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, which is ridiculous, because when you look at Kareem's resume, it's crazy. This should be the GOAT debate between them if we're just going to single guys out. But they'll sit up there and say, oh man, Kareem want the best on his team, well, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're playing on a team with 3 number 1 franchise players of another team, you were never the leader of that team. I done told you guys, LeBron James never led a team to a championship. He was never led Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, or Kyrie Irving, or Kevin Love. He never led them guys to a championship. Never. Because they were all number 1 franchise players of another team. Never. They all led each other. You see how that works? They were all in the prime. Now, Anthony Davis, I mean, and Dwight Howard, he didn't lead them to no damn championship. He wasn't no leader of them. Anthony Davis at the time was the best. Let me give it to you again. The best center in the league. Best center, best forward, whatever you want to say, homie. Whatever you want to see. That's like Michael Jordan at 35 going to get the best power forward or the best center in the league, which to me, that would be, what would we say, the best center? To me, that would be Shaq. Some people say, oh man, Hakeem was. I don't think so. In, what was it, 98? The 97-98 season, Hakeem was not the best center in the league no more. That's why he had to play with that super team. And he got beat by the Plymouth Crew, Utah. So he was not the best center in the league. He was good. 97, 98, Shaq was the best center. Nobody was better than Shaq. That's just how it is. So, or I don't know who would be the best power forward in the league in 98, if we're talking about power forward. Oh, yeah, I guess you could say Karl Malone. So that's like Michael Jordan either playing with Shaq or Karl Malone at 34, 35. This is what LeBron James was doing with Anthony Davis. Whether you call him a center or a power forward, I don't know. So LeBron didn't lead those guys to no championship. Stop fooling yourself. And that's another thing that hurts him. And this is another thing too. He never faced a super team. A super team is 3 number 1 franchise players of another team, whether they're in their prime or out of their prime. Whether they're in their prime or out of their prime. And we always see what happens when they're out of their prime. They might win 1 championship and they might not even win no championship. Okay? But when did LeBron James face that? Guys, don't tell me some guys that got drafted made it a super team. When did LeBron James face 3 other guys who were franchise players of another team? When was it? See, that falls apart because the only team they're going to mention is Kevin Durant and Curry. But these just 2 guys. It's just 2 guys. It's just 2 guys. And the other guys were drafted, not the Spurs. They took their time, built their team up, and waxed your ass. LeBron James couldn't. Well, he tried it. No, he didn't do that. I'm about to say in Cleveland, but oh no, he was playing with other guys, other teams' number 2s. He might not have built a super team in Cleveland the first time, but he was playing with other teams' number 2s. We already talked about that. You could put, you know how it goes. You're supposed to have a lineup where this guy's 1, this guy's 2, this your 3rd best player, this your 4th best player, this your 5th, this your 6th, this your 7th. Got one like that with LeBron James ever. Whether he was building a super team or not. His 3 through 7, you could put those guys on other teams and they would be the number 2 best player on another team. That's how he was doing it, on his super teams or when he played at Cleveland the first time. Yep. So the super team was 1, 1, 1, because, he had the big 3s, and then it was 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's how it was. That's how it was, folks. It was crazy. You couldn't say that about Michael Jordan and most guys on the other team. Michael Jordan, you had Michael Jordan, then you had Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, maybe Bill Cartwright, and boom, you had John Paxson. And then you had some other guys coming off the bench, 6 through 7. Everybody had their number, their place, and it was accurate. Right? Even with the second 3-peat Bulls team. Michael Jordan, Pippen, who would it be like? Maybe Kukoc and Harper. To me, it would like flip-flop to me. Because one was real good at deep, real good, and one was good at offense. So you can interchange them at, 3 and 4. And then, your 5 guy, Dennis Rodman. But, no. At that age, you ain't putting Ron Harper on no team, and he's the number 2 in that second 3-peat Bulls. Tony Kukoc, no. Not back then. His defense wasn't good. He couldn't be no number 2. Or him and Scottie Pippen would have went over the top when Jordan was gone. And yeah, that's where Dennis Rodman can always be, a 5. And whoever was coming off the bench then, you had Steve Kerr, 6, and then whoever you want to bring off the bench after that. These were guys in the real spots. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with the Spurs, that dynasty, and the same thing with the Golden State dynasty, especially before Durant came in there. This is how it really works on all-time great teams and teams, period. That's how it's supposed to work, guys. And that's why LeBron lost so much. He don't have guys in their place that's supposed to be this rank. He's getting a whole bunch of number 2s and a whole bunch of number 1s to cover up his ass. He wants to have a buddy system. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to reach out to him, and hope he does it. But like I said, I don't want it to be based on championships. I don't want it to be on just, that criteria we always see. I want it based on the whole resume of championships through defensive teams, all NBAs. What you did when you was young, what you did in your prime, what you did when you was older. Your failures. your great moments, your points per game, your assists per game, whether you was young or you was old, stuff like this, man. I mean, I don't know who can sit down and do that. Maybe he can do it. I'm not for sure. But I don't see, you might have to go through like a series. You know what I'm saying? You might have to go through, something like that, unless you're able to do all that at one time. Maybe, I don't know. It seems kind of deep, but unless we're able to, we talk about all the 30-point games. Will has his 50-point games, his 60-point games, what he did as a rookie, as a MVP, all this crazy stuff. All the crazy stuff Bill Russell did. I don't think we're really appreciating this real GOAT debate, and that's because of the media. The media doesn't really know basketball. When the media only puts two guys in the GOAT debate, and then one guy gets slaughtered. I mean, this guy's like Jason, right? We just keep coming out with more stuff to slaughter this guy, LeBron James' career, and he just keeps coming back. It's like, you can't get rid of him like Jason, right? Jason keep coming back. We'll not take no for an answer. So let's see if he'll do that. Maybe he'll have a more narrow criteria. Maybe he have more, maybe it'll be more broad. But if there was ever a GOAT debate, like the media should be talking about, a lot of guys should be talked about. Not, and I'm not trying to say Michael Jordan ain't the GOAT, but if the media did their duty on what they were supposed to do from the beginning, and really teach people the history of basketball, which I don't think they do. I don't think they know it, but if they did, you would appreciate past players better, and a lot of people would be in a proper place, or they would have a they would have a spot in the debate. You know what I'm saying? They would have a proper spot, or they would have a chance at the debate. One minute, the LeBron fans say it ain't about championships. Next minute, you can't use this guy for a GOAT debate because he don't have enough championships or the finals MVP. It's like, what? So, I can go ahead and repeat this a million times, but these are things we need. I mean, we can even put Giannis in here. And when we look at some of these guys, like, the Dwight Howard, all these defensive players of the year, all NBAs he has, the block titles, I'm not trying to say he's a GOAT or nothing like that, or even close. Okay, I'm just saying this guy has so many statistical titles. He triples LeBron James on statistical titles. Kills him as a defender. You know how many guys just like bury LeBron James in statistical titles, which means they was the best at something each year against some of the greatest players that ever played in this league? So many guys throughout the years, LeBron, it's not even close. And I know some people are, what about Larry Bird? What about Tim Duncan? But that's what I'm talking about, guys. We can look at Tim Duncan and we can be like, oh man, look at all NBA defensive teams he has. Right? Who was he going to? He was like this all-around player for a long time. Great rebounder, great defender, and can be a great scorer at times. You can't say LeBron James was a great rebounder or a great defender because he don't have the all-NBAs and he don't even average 10 rebounds per game as a power forward, basically. We can say Larry Bird was a great rebounder, especially for how many great rebounders he played with on the starting lineup. How great was he? Won three finals MVPs in a row in that era right there. I mean, that's just insane. And I don't think there's still, I was looking at that the other day. You can say from the 90s, I'm not sure. Let's just say from the 90s, I've never seen one player get an MVP playing on a super team. LeBron James did that not only once, he did it 2 years in a row. What? Yes. This guy got 2 MVPs back to back playing on a super team. A team where it's 3 other teams' number 1 franchise players. No other guy did that. Who did it? Somebody tell me. Nobody else was able to do that. Now, when we talk about how, Kevin Garnett couldn't get it, Paul Pierce or Ray Allen, they didn't get it that year. So, that to me, that's something that should be counted against him. Not because he won 2 MVPs, is because in the way he did it. He won, see the ones in 09, 2010, that was more legit. Even though people can question that, but you can question a lot of people's MVPs, but they were legit. They were legit. So you guys know what I mean. I mean, I'm gonna just get off of here. I said I'm not gonna make a whole bunch of videos because the NBA is disgraceful. But maybe we can get somebody. Jim won't do it. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. But I think Jim could do it better because this is what he does. This is what I mean, I could do it, but this is what he does every day. It's for him. It's less soap opera and more proving the point with research. And you don't have to do too much soap opera when you got the research and you got numbers right there. So I'm gonna see what he says. You guys tell me what you think about this. This real GOAT debate that should be. You know what I'm saying? Because if they wanted to say it was narrowed down to two people a long time ago, they should have gave us these guys' careers individually, not just accolades. As far as the four main accolades: championships, finals MVPs, and statistical titles, which they never mention. You ever notice that? They never mention statistical titles when they debate with LeBron James. Never. But it always comes up for Michael Jordan. And I know Kobe Bryant don't have a lot of statistical titles, but for him, he has other things: defensive teams, a lot of all NBAs. His story. We can point to some of his greatest failures and then some of his greatest moments. You know what I'm saying? These are the things. A lot of these players had these type of things, and that's what made them great. Not even Michael Jordan. He didn't have all great moments. He had failures too, and those can get put on the table. We could talk about who had what on their team. That's fine. How many All-Stars they played with? How many Hall of Famers? How many future Hall of Famers? And some of that counts. But some of it's just like, what did you do with it? That's really what counts. Did you? You can have this, but what did you do with it? Some guys did nothing with it. Not just LeBron, we know he did, but other guys too. We can say some guys in the 70s. We can say some guys in the 80s. We can say some guys in the 60s and the 2000s. I mean, that Big Three Boston team, yes, they were old, but in that weak East, there's no way you should let LeBron James get number 1 seed 2 years in a row and take you to a Game 7 in 2008. No way. To me, that's more underachieved. And you let Orlando beat you in 2009 in the playoffs. Boston did that Big Three. So a lot of this stuff is underachieving. Even though they're not in a GOAT debate. I mean, I get if you want to throw Kevin Garnett in it, you can. You might be a Kevin Garnett fan. That's what I'm saying. A lot of guys should have, Hakeem, he should have an opportunity to be in there. There's certain guys, Marketing, there's certain guys that should have a chance to be in there. And then, maybe it could be a playoff at one time. And this guy gets eliminated, this guy moves on, blah, blah, blah. And maybe there should be a voting. Maybe there shouldn't be voting. I don't know. But all these guys should have a chance. And that's what's wrong with this fake GOAT debate too, because it's not, it's not what it should be. And like I said, you could throw Dr. J in there in his achievements because they merged together. Right? So you guys tell me what you think. I'm going to try to get hold of Jim.